Today, I'm joined by Caroline Jamieson. Caroline's the managing director and founder of Stables Daycare, a child's day nursery and forest school set in 26 acres of green space in Hildenbrook, Kent. So, hi, Caroline.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Um,
Thank you for the pleasure of talking about my business.
no, that's okay. Well, look, tell us a little bit more about your business, Caroline, and and what you do.
We're a flexible day nursery and forest school. We cater for children from 3 months to 5 years. We started over 20 years ago. I purchased an old donkey stables and a set of car garages and had them converted back in 2004. And then we opened in 2005 after 5 months of applying for planning. We started with 28 children on roll. We now have over 130 children on roll. We open 7:30 till 6, Monday to Friday, but we're quite unique in that I created a flexible daycare model because when I set this up, I was working as an assessor for people working in childcare. So I had a 6-week-old baby, my third child, 2 children at school, and I wanted to find some sort of flexible childcare for that fitted in around my school runs, but I also needed a couple of hours to go to the nurseries and assess people training in childcare. And there was nothing at all. You had to sign up, for the whole day or for half a day from 8 or until 6. So I decided I'd create something myself. So I called around the local schools in my area and to see if they had a classroom available for me to open a creche. And there happened to be an independent school in my village that were in the process of moving sites. So they had just purchased a large manor house with 26 acres, and they wanted to offload some of their outbuildings to generate some investment for their school. So I went and had a look, and it was completely derelict. Some of the windows were missing. There was no electricity. There was ivy growing on the inside of the building, and I could only access half of the building because the other half had a wall that connected the two buildings together. So I kind of had a vision, and I set about bidding for the buildings. I managed to get them, and then I wrote a business plan, borrowed some money from the bank, and set about applying for planning permission and having the conversion done, and then marketing it. And I marketed it basically using word art and my own home printer, and I just went around the village and put posters wherever I thought needed it, really.
Well done. I love that. That's thank you for giving us that background. What a great story. And a real challenge there to take on. You've described the what the building was like. That you've said you had 3 children at the time as well. So what what made you sort of want to do that? I know you sort of saw the business opportunity that actually it was something that was needed in your community, but what made you take on that project, big project with a young family?
Well, I'd always worked with children, so I started working with children when I was 18. Um, and I'd had a degree in child psychology and early years, which I got through Open University whilst I was having my children and working. And then I worked in a local preschool and worked for 2 days for free so that I could train. In those days, it was allowed, so that I could do my training. And I trained and did my MVQ3 and 4 alongside doing my degree. And then I started a master's in early years as well. So whilst I was setting up my business, so I was always interested and I always wanted to create something special for children, but I kind of had it as a small idea, a small vision, and it kind of just grew. Um, and I didn't kind of anticipate the level of workload. To me, it wasn't, oh, I'm going to start this big business. It was, oh, I'm going to create something special for children because I'm interested. That's what I'm interested and passionate about. But it just kind of spiraled and became quite a large company and quite a large day nursery, I guess.
And the two key words I've picked up from what you sort of said there, Caroline, is passion and vision. That you had a real passion for what you do and what you were creating, and a real vision of what you wanted it to be like. So I think that they're really two important things when starting out on a challenge like that, because as I say, it wasn't just, well, I'm going to start a business. There was quite a big challenge there for you. And talking of challenges, what's been the biggest challenge that you've faced being a business owner in the last 20 years? What's been the biggest challenge?
Um, Recruitment, I guess. Recruiting good quality staff and you know, um, basically empowering them with my vision, because obviously all day nurseries are different. We're all doing it for very different reasons. Um, but I have a specific kind of ethos that I like to promote within my nursery, and it's sometimes a bit different to others in terms of my flexibility. So we open 7:30 till 6 Monday to Friday, but parents choose their hours. So they book whatever hours they want. So we have 130 odd children on roll, all doing different hours. So some children come in on a Monday at 11 o'clock and leave at 5:45, and some children then on the Tuesday they might do 7:30 till 1. And whatever hours they book, they're the hours that they're invoiced for on an hourly rate. And if they want to change them, they just give us a month's notice. So they can't come and go like a creche because I need to be able to staff it, but they do. They can access that flexibility, and that's been quite a challenge because administratively it's very hard to keep abreast, which means we can never find one of these online software platforms that lots of nurseries use. We do use a platform called Tapestry for uploading photographs and updates, but we can't actually give daily updates or use them for our invoice purposes because nobody can accommodate our flexibility. Lots of them claim they can do flexibility, but not to the level that we do. We also offer term time only and all year round. So we get 30% of our children are doing term time only. Many of them are teachers and they don't want to bring their children in the holidays and they don't pay in the holidays. But then we sell some of those spaces to children that used to come to us, and they've now gone to school and they're 4 or 5, a bit too young for the big holiday clubs like Barracudas. So they end up coming back and spending time with their siblings, and we accommodate them. So it kind of works. And 2 of my staff are term time only. So, and it also gives the staff time in the holidays to really do deep cleans, update their displays, keep up with their paperwork. So they're not kind of full on Monday to Friday, 7:30 till 6. They actually get time to reflect about their practice and think about what they're doing.
You mentioned them about, well, you mentioned two things about recruitment, but not just recruitment, about finding people that share your vision and passion. Um, so it's not just like, okay, we want to find people with the right skill set. It's actually they need to share your vision and passion. How have you overcome that challenge?
Well, generally, I'm very fortunate in that in the 20 years I've been open, um, all of my core leading staff have been with me over 10 years. Over 40% of us are over 40. So we have that maturity and that work ethic, and that kind of level of understanding. So that's been brilliant. And I've been able to maintain those staff, and they all, hopefully I've created a really nice place to work, so they all want to come to work. Um, so that's really nice, and it's consistent because this industry can be quite fluid in terms of staff, and we do always get the people on the periphery who come in and they think it's a really easy job. They're just going to read stories all day, but actually it's physically and emotionally hard work, and they very quickly realize it's not for them. It's like Marmite, you either love it or you hate it. And equally, people that don't share my ethos, that just want to kind of come in and be, I'm big, you're little, and I'm kind of in charge thing, which is not what we do here. They very quickly don't stay very long because they realize it's not what we do.
Yeah, because they don't fit in with the culture that you've created. So
Yeah.
So I think that's great. You know, like you've obviously, yeah, obviously focused on retaining, you know, doing the right things to retain your core staff, which is obviously really important. You know, looking after our existing team and getting other people to add to that. What would you, you know, if you could wave a magic wand right now and solve one challenge in your business, what would it be?
I think it would be to be able to balance my work commitments with my personal life, because being the business creator and the sole director and founder, and also caring about it the way I do, it kind of sometimes I feel like I never switch off, so I even take my laptop on holiday with me.
Oh, wow.
And on a few times I've had to write policies or write to parents at the airport whilst I'm waiting for my flight because something's happened and I'm needed to do that. So um, I don't know whether whether I will ever overcome that, because I think it's probably just the person I am. I like to equally I come into work. I work from home on a Friday, but Monday to Thursday I'm at work. So I'm always all the parents know me, the children know me. So it's nice. I have managers and I have leaders, and they run the operations when I'm not around, and I can fully trust them. Um, but it's also nice to be involved in that side of it, because but it sometimes can be a two-edged sword, because then you the business you become so absorbed in the business that it's difficult to kind of switch off sometimes.
Yeah, it's a fairly, you know, it's a fairly common challenge that most business owners face, and actually something I've worked with many of my clients on. And I think the key thing there to remember is actually the term business owner. Actually, a business owner is just owning the business. Um, it's then a choice whether we want to work in the business or not. And that should be a choice. Quite often we don't see it as a choice. We see it's my business, I have to work in it. I've got no choice, I have to work in it. But the true definition of a business owner is they own the business. So yeah, it's an interesting one, and as I say, I think many people listening and watching this sort of this discussion will resonate with them as well. And what would you say your biggest learning has been since you've been in business?
I've learned lots about business, because my degree and my master's is in early years, so I'm more interested in children's brain development and why they behave the way they do and what makes them tick and how we can impact them in a positive way. So learning about businesses, and I mean, I did business GCSE at school, but many years ago, and that was kind of it really. I didn't have any business experience, so I've had to learn, and that's been a massive learning curve, about because there's so much to learn, about following policies, about environmental health, about meeting Ofsted guidelines, about recruitment, employment law, health and safety, fire risks, risk assessments, all of those things that I have to kind of make sure I'm responsible for every day. Salaries, tax, HMRC, all of that stuff. It goes on and on, to be honest. Resources, what kind of resources, making sure I have a ROSPA inspection every year, which is not a legal requirement, but I want to make sure my equipment is safe for children. And we have a lot of outside space. We've got a Mongolian yurt, we have a forest school. So, it to me, it's important, if I'm delivering something, I need to deliver it properly. So to making sure I'm thinking of everything and thinking ahead. And you've got to be kind of a forward thinker, because you have to think about the impact that your behavior, which I've learned over the years, how I behave now will impact, or definitely, will have a cause and effect. It will impact potential future plans. So, in terms of different staff members, even leading them, you have to you have to learn to lead in different ways according to the personalities of the people that you're leading, because not every you want people to embrace what you're telling them, and you want people to do what you want them to do, but there's different people will have different buttons that you need to push, and you have to kind of learn so much about personalities and about which buttons work, and plant those seeds. in order to get what you want, because otherwise, you know, you treat everybody the same, and unfortunately, you're only going to get half the workforce on board. So it's massive. It's a learning curve about learning about people and people's behaviors. It's a learning curve about and different cohorts. You know, post-COVID children are quite different to pre-COVID children. Equally, staff, you know, the whole I mean, I used to have about, I think, 22 staff. I've got 28 now. Um, although we're very busy and we do have a waiting list right through to October 26 at the moment. Um, and that's another thing I'd love to expand if I could. Um, but you know, staff, I have to have more staff now because I need them part because not everybody wants, hardly anyone wants to work 5 days a week, long days. Some people still will, but generally speaking, people want to work 3 or 4 days a week. So you need to have more staff to be able to counteract that.
It's really interesting what you sort of say there, and the and I think what I've gathered from that is that you were sort of saying that yeah, you had the knowledge and the skills and experience to in your industry, you're very qualified industry, but what you've learned from being in these 20 years and from what I gathered as well, still learning is actually how to run a business. And not only that, but the different cycles of a business. You know, because once you, as you neatly described there, once you start to get a bigger and bigger a team, you know, you've got to learn management skills and leadership skills and those sort of things. So yeah, I think, look, really, again, I think a lot of people will be able to relate to what you've sort of said there, is constantly developing new skills about running a business, leading people, and taking things to where you want to take it to. So again, thank you for sharing that. And what would you say to anyone thinking of going into business, Caroline?
I'd say go for it, you know, and keep going for it until it succeeds because you know, it requires hard work, dedication, commitment, and it's not, you know, one of the misconceptions is that if you've got your own business, you can pretty much sit back and do as you like. Well, that's not the case. You have to work the hardest because ultimately the responsibility falls on you. But if you're prepared to work and you're passionate and you love what you do, which is important, you have to love what you do every day. Then go for it. Because for me, it's opened up so many other opportunities. You know, I've been able to, I designed a baby's product, a baby's bed, which I haven't found a correlation between a manufacturer and a designer yet, but I've shelved that for the time being. But I've also written a parenting program, which we're about to launch. And it's, you know, using my wealth of experience and knowledge over the years, I get parents coming in all the time asking me questions about why their baby won't sleep or why their toddler is biting another toddler. Um, and I've collated it together into several ebooks and I've written them and we're about to launch that. That's a company called Jambino. And we've also organising a charity fete, which we're raising money solely for charity. So we're raising it for Abigail's Footsteps, which is a charity that supports families that have lost children, babies. And we've managed to secure over 20 stalls already. And we've got burger van, we've got ice cream van coming in on the 10th of August. And we're using the field next to the nursery, and we're just raising money and we're involving all the local community. So we went to the farmers market and we asked if the stallholders wanted to have stalls there, and some of them do, and it's going to be great, I think.
Love it. And I think that's again, look, well, fantastic. You know, raising money for a great charity. But I think again, another thing that you've sort of demonstrated about business there is actually the business being part of the community as well.
Yeah.
And actually, that's a really important thing. Is right for every business, right? How can I be part of the local community? Because you're generally employing people from the local community, providing a product and service for the local community. So yeah, being involving yourself in that's great. So well, I hope I wish you every success with
Thank
that.
you.
And so one final question I like to ask everybody that's kind enough to join me on this discussion, which is, what is the best advice that you would give to an 18-year-old you?
Okay. So it would be work hard, learn lots, and get as much knowledge and experience as you can to give you the best opportunities into adulthood.
Work hard, learn lots. And what was the other bit?
Work hard, learn lots, get as much knowledge and experience as you can to give you the best opportunities into adulthood.
Fantastic. Love that.
And can I just tell you a favourite saying I have when I'm showing my
Please
parents
do.
around.
Yeah.
An anecdote I always use because early years can be quite undervalued in society, and hence why we're doing one of the reasons why we're doing this fete is to give something back, for free, really. And something I always say to parents is when we're building a house, we wouldn't live on a house with a fluid foundation. We insist on a solid foundation. So our job is to build brains, and we build brains from naught to fives, and we hope to build a solid foundation so that it gives children the capacity to learn for potential future learning.
Like that. Yeah. And well, A, I really like it. B, very true as well, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure you know more about it than me, but there's been a lot of research, hasn't there, in terms of up until a certain age, that how influential it is to do the right things.
Definitely. I've just completed a course in neuroscience because I have a love of learning. I'm always learning new things. And some of the learning within that is that children's brains, they're pretty much built by the age of 5. So the early years that we do is so important. The kind of opportunities we give the children really impact their learning.
Completely agree. Absolutely. I think that's so yeah, look, thank you for sharing that. And look, Caroline, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today and sharing more about your business, but also your journey as well. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.